Hey everybody, wanted to do a video today on auction theory, a little bit of a beginner's guide to unfinished auctions, because getting a lot of people asking in the Discord and on Twitter, what's an unfinished auction? Because we talk a lot about it, especially in Discord and Twitter. Yeah, so we assume that people kind of understand a little bit about auction theory when we give some research out, or we talk about what we're seeing, because a lot of times we get asked our opinion on things. So, you know, uh, every single market is an auction essentially, and it all comes down to, at the end of the day, who has more money at any given time. Price opportunity, is it buyers or is it sellers? And like right now, we see the price of Bitcoin on Binance futures starting to tick up. It looks like towards the 47,200 level, which is right ahead of a unfinished auction, or UFA, at 47,300. So now, what does that mean? You can see them all over the place. You see unfinished auction at 45.4 here. MPOC is something different, naked point of control, which we'll talk about in a separate video. And then you have an unfinished auction up here at 48.5, right? So what does all this mean? An unfinished auction, like I said, in every single market is just an auction playing out in real time, seeking fair value. And fair value is how markets are discounting mechanisms, right? So price is always going to gravitate to balance, symmetry, fair value. And again, we assume that people know a little bit about this, so we're going to skip over the very low hanging beginner's guide to auction theory. We'll try to do that in a separate video, or maybe put out a Substack article, which we do have a bunch of stuff already on our Substack for free. If you go to our description below, you can see the link to our Substack. Make sure you're on that list so you can go ahead and access the archive. We do have a premium Substack as well, where you can ask questions and learn directly through our Alpha Discord. That's also in the description. And also make sure you like and subscribe, so we can get all of this information out to you in real time. The likes help us know that the content is at least appreciated, and we do this for free. You know what I mean? So the only way for us to keep going is, make sure you like, subscribe, go to our Substack, and that's how you can continue supporting guys like us. But anyway, at the end of the day, you just saw this UFA, as I'm giving my whole spiel, basically reversed. This just goes to show you how strong of magnets unfinished auctions are. And when I say magnets, I mean that price tends to gravitate towards them over time, because they turn into very staunch support and resistance. Usually they can be used a number of different ways, strategy-wise. But going back to this unfinished auction here, usually when you see them, they tend to be reversal signs. You see them in tandem with naked points of control, NPOCs, or these purple lines right here. It's something else that we offer through Signals. And you'll see here, maybe if you're a little more seasoned, this looks counterintuitive, but all asks are on the green side instead of the red, just to help beginners understand the dynamics of how markets work a little bit better. And you'll see reversal here. All business is trying to be done on the ask, but you get this one little piece of a coin here that comes in, creates the unfinished auction, because of the reversal, right? So essentially, something happened here where liquidity dried up, and a mismatch happened, and a rotation ensued. And what happens then is either we rotate back through it and finish the auction a little higher, or it's a reversal. So because price discovery, wasn't over here. It tried to be, tried to end, but it didn't. It didn't really happen. But something happened, mismatch in liquidity, reversal back down, couldn't get above it. And usually, again, like I said, you'll see naked points of control around NPOCs, because they're all signals of a reversal in terms of price. It was heading in one direction. It was trying, like here, it was trying to rebound a little bit, couldn't really do it. Again, trying here, couldn't really do it. Again, drops, trying, couldn't do it. You get a fake out here, but in general, what happens is that they occur in, in close proximity, because they're usually signs of reversals, and you'll see them at pivotal levels usually. Like here is basically the lows of the recent move, um, to support. We've been seeing like 45 basically being support, and this UFA has been here for many hours. These are hourly clusters, but if you look here, again, got very close to trying and finishing it off here, but it couldn't. You got this little minuscule volume, and ultimately a rotation back into high volume, and then ultimately, higher from the support level, which has been holding for quite some time. You see, they respect these levels usually, unless they're gonna go in that direction. Essentially break the level and go in that direction. Usually, you'll see these things really act as hardened support and resistance at key levels, and that's why we haven't seen 48 and a half essentially give yet, because it's been very tough. The market's not ready to rotate much higher. So what'll happen here is we keep trading in this range until the market is ready to make a decision one way or another. And I mean, you'll see these things across, if you go to deeper time frames, like you'll see these things at scary levels below us. But you know for example, he went to a weekly, for example. You can get a good idea of where price is. I mean, down here we're talking at like 10,000, 20,000. You see NPOX all over the place. You have this UFA right here at 41, which was the lows of our recent moves out of the high 50s. But this could remain support for quite some time until we get some type of event that takes us to change the trend meaningfully and take us to low levels. I mean, these are where you would expect to see support. But UFAs they're not as common as NPOX, because NPOX are just basically points of control that we're establishing before a reversal, and that's why they tend to trade out over time, just like UFAs do, because they were levels that were working. At one point they were widely accepted, but price reversed, and ultimately they became support or resistance. So that's really the formula here when you're looking at this type of stuff, especially on finished auctions, because you kind of have to know a little bit more about the auction process. But you'll notice these things always usually turn into long-term support and resistance at key levels. Like 41 here is right ahead of our 39K MPOC, which has been holding us for a really long time at this point. These are all weekly bars, or clusters rather. So we've been supported pretty well by the 39K MPOC for quite some time, and the 41K UFA that took place here. Again, look, very, very minuscule activity, but we did get a reversal of this. Albeit it was it was about almost $20,000 move essentially here. So a lot of low volume at the lows, bigger volume once we start rotating back up. And ever since this mismatch down here, we've had this unfinished auction kind of highlight us, pretty much tell us where support is, where the line is, right? So now we know 41K UFA is essentially what we're watching in this situation, because of the differential in liquidity at these levels. Will price get pulled back towards it? It looks like it's been pulled back towards it a bunch, but it's ultimately held, and could prove to be a very valuable launching pad higher. Because let's look at the symmetry also at this point. If we look here, we know unfinished auctions and NPOCs are reversals, right? So you have here and here, an area where price has tried to push lower multiple times and can't, right? So what does that tell you? Like here, there's a clear zone where buyers are defending, and you can see here on the DOM, buyers are, they're defending as well to some degree, right? And then when you draw it out, you have a P-shaped profile here. You have a lower value area here, okay? Price, realistically, if it breaks here, we're saying that price is going to go into this direction right here, about $32,000. So, could it flash through it? Of course. But again, this is why it's so important to know what an unfinished auction represents and what a naked point of control represent. And again, we'll get more into naked points of control in the second auction theory video. But at the end of the day, we know here that we have a P-shaped profile, which indicates usually bullish price activity. Okay, we know the line here about 52K. We're going to have some sellers, which coincide, with the sell imbalance we have right here. We have another, we know on lower time frame NPA or at UFA at 48.5 roughly, which coincides with this weekly sell imbalance, right? And we've been pretty well supported in the 46K range or the lower half of this value area, the extreme lows. We know we're well supported here with liquidity, and we know that UFA and NPOC have capped us because price has reversed heavy when testing these levels. And unless we're about to go to 32K, that's how I see this, and that's one way to use UFAs as a guide, if you will, to current market conditions. I hope this was informative for you guys. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Check everything out in our description down below for details on everything. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment. Have a great day.